Europe being a platform of power protection for the United States. Look at Epic Fury. Between 4,000 and 5,000 flights taking off from European bases in support of Epic Fury, the the war against Iran. And of course, it provides the US with industrial depth, the fact that we work together. So we all have an invested interest. This is NATO 3.0, more European-led, equalizing defense spending, but still with the US firmly rooted in NATO.
President Trump, as you know, very unhappy, despite what you said about the flights, very unhappy with several European allies and what they did not offer or give with Iran. And I think some of that was also some of the rhetoric. Europeans unhappy after Greenland, after tariffs, some of the defense reductions. So you're talking about a revolutionary vision to bring the Atlantic Alliance perhaps to its strongest point yet. How do you do it in this atmosphere? And am I right that I'm seeing also some tricky tensions, or you sometimes have to be a marriage counselor?
No, it's not that. But I mean, I see your analysis. And listen, when an organization like NATO, our collective transatlantic alliance, go through a transformation like this, hey, you will have some debates, you will have some discussions, you will have some tensions. These are democracies working together. It would be strange if it would not be the case. And the President of the United States being disappointed with, as he sees it, lack of European support when it comes to Epic Fury. Hey, I said I understand it. But I said also yesterday in the White House, you saw this in the public remarks, these are isolated cases. When you look at the whole picture of Europe, all these European nations living up to their bilateral agreements with the United States when it comes to the use of bases and other support for the United States, this number of between 4,000 and 5,000 US planes taking off from European bases in support of Epic Fury. I mean, this was crucial and important for the US to be able to conduct that whole operation. So let's not be too scared if, hey, sometimes we fight each other a bit. That's normal. We are democracies. Again, this is a difference between us and authoritarian about dictatorships. They give the impression that everybody agrees. Well, they don't. We know this. But because of the total control of the media in Russia or North Korea, you will never see this. This is the strength of NATO. We are a alliance, of course, a defensive alliance, but also a alliance of values where we have democracies, the free media, we have parliamentary debates, we fight each other sometimes at the top of our lungs, and then in the end, we always come together for 77 years now.
And then finally, can't let you go without a question about your, you seem to have touched off a bit of a firestorm in Italy with your comments about the flights out of Italy, if you just address that. Thanks.
Yes, on Italy, what I said is not that Italy is doing more than they committed in the bilateral agreements with the United States, but that they are living up to the bilateral agreements. So not more than that. And when you look at the whole of Europe, between 4,000 and 5,000 sorties from European bases. When it comes to your questions, I'm a bit hesitant in getting into detail because these are primarily bilateral issues. The United States deciding on which sales they're going to make into, for example, Turkey, and you heard the President and others comment on that yesterday in the Oval Office. So if I'm involved, it is always discreetly. I cannot comment on it in public.
To what extent do you expect ongoing U.S.-Iran negotiations and the Memorandum of Understanding to impact the upcoming summit in Ankara? And will NATO finally become involved in operations to keep Hormuz open?
Well, thank you for that question. So, of course, Iran is not within NATO territory, but of course, it is still an issue we debate amongst allies. And NATO has a long-standing position that Iran should never get his hands on a nuclear capability. And the President of the United States, with his team being able to degrade severely that capability, is fantastic news for the whole world, of course, for the region, for Europe, but for the whole world. Iran is an exporter of chaos and of terrorism. So, and there is always this risk that one day they have that capability. We know they were close, and you've seen with North Korea that there is this moment when it is too late. And here the United States really, I want to commend the US for making sure that the world stays safe from Iran with a nuclear capability. Then when it comes to the Strait itself, you have seen massively European allies pre-positioning, for example, minesweepers close to theater in Djibouti, in other ports and places close to theater. As you know, the US is almost better in everything except icebreakers and mine hunters. Now, icebreakers you don't need in the Middle East, and mine hunters we do need, and there Europe is having excessive capacity, so Europe can help there. How this exactly will play out over the coming weeks, I cannot predict.
And historical perspective, how important is Ankara?
Well, I would say really important, and maybe even more important than The Hague, because it's great to have the commitments, and The Hague was a big success, but then to deliver on the commitments, and that's what I'm seeing is going to happen in Ankara, is even more important, because in the end, Putin is not afraid of commitments. He is afraid of implementing those commitments, and that's exactly what we are doing, Vladimir. We will defend ourselves.